Alright, we are back with another double bass technique tutorial. Today we want to cover two big topics. Number one, the tension and relaxation principle. That's a big part of bass drum mastery and we're going to cover it today as well. And second, we're going to talk about this kind of twitching motion, this uncontrolled twitching motion, and how you can get from that uncontrolled twitching motion to a controlled up and down motion from your heel. Okay, so let's start with topic number one for today, the tension and relaxation principle. So again, we got our bass drum pedal right here. So place your foot around the middle of the footboard. For those of you who have got questions about the ankle technique, make sure to check out last week's video on my YouTube channel, which describes the ankle technique in detail. So here we got your ankle or your heel, knee joint, and somewhere here the hip joint. So, the tension and relaxation principle. One thing that's important with the ankle technique, we already talked about that one, you want a constant up and down motion from your heel, and you get that one by a quick contraction and relaxation of your calf muscle. So, tension and relaxation means that you are tensing up for a short period of time. That's exactly the time where you apply pressure on the footboard and the beater travels towards the bass drum head. When I talk about relaxation, I mean that's the point in time where you relax your calf muscle, your heel drops back down to the floor, but it's not touching the floor, it's just dropping down towards the floor. And that's the relaxation phase. So one thing that is important is that the time it takes for you to tense your calf muscle and the time it takes to relax have to be exactly the same. Only then you will get a constant beater swing as end result. So when I'm playing at a tempo at 150 or 160 when using the ankle technique, I get almost a 90-degree beater angle. And the time, when I contract my calf muscle, the beater travels towards the bass drum head 90 degrees. Then I relax my calf muscle again and the beater is coming back almost 90 degrees. If this is our timeline, so here's the bass drum head and here's the point where the beater is all the way back and starts to return again. The time it takes for the bass drum beater after it hits the bass drum head to this position back here has to be exactly the same as the time it takes for the beater to return to the bass drum head. Once you got that down, you will get, number one, a constant beater swing, you will get constant hits, so constant volume, not just one soft hit, one loud hit and stuff like that, no. Get constant bass drum hits, and that's the big advantage of this tension and relaxation principle, and that's why it's so important. Actually, you're just working for a short period of time when you're contracting your calf muscle. After that, when you're relaxing again, actually you get a break. So this makes it really easy to play for long periods of time, because basically you're just working half of the time. So in this example, you can see me play at, I think, 180 BPM. And you can clearly see that the beater swing is always constant. Every time I contract my calf muscle, I raise my heel, I apply pressure to the footboard, beater travels towards the bass drum head, and this kind of time frame that I need for the beater to travel towards the bass drum head is exactly the same time frame and time length it takes for the beater to return from the bass drum head back into this neutral position right here. So to conclude this first part of this video, the tension and relaxation principle. You're working only 50% of the time, you're working with the beater swing, and actually you just need your calf muscle. One other thing that is important, I got a comment in the comment section of my last video that I also wanted to mention is, I always talk about using the ankle technique from tempos starting at 140 BPM. 140 BPM, 16-note double bass might sound a bit fast for some of you, but there's a reason why I use it starting at 140 BPM and why I always talk about this as like the slowest possible starting tempo. What I found out for myself is that when I play at 140 BPM, that's the slowest possible tempo where I get a constant beater swing back and forth. all the time. If the tempo is below 140, like 130 or 120 for example, when the beta is, after the beta hits the bass drum head and is returning, at one point right here, I have to stop and interrupt this motion and to just like spend some extra time and to slow down the motion. I have to stop it and interrupt it to be able to play tight at 130 or 120. So beginning from 140, it becomes a constant back and forth beta swing. So that's why I always talk about 140 up to 210, because that's where I really use the ankle technique. Faster, for tempos faster than 210, I kind of adapt and change some things, but we're gonna cover that one in another video as well. It doesn't really matter what tempo I play in, 140, 160, 180, 200 or 210. The beta swing is always constant. The only thing that changes is if I play faster, I got a smaller beta swing. If I play a tempo like 140, 150, I got a almost 90-degree beta swing. So let's conclude this first part of this video with a short demonstration video of my left foot playing eighth notes at 180, 200 and 220 beats per minute, and pay close attention to the beta swing. Although it decreases as soon as the tempo increases, the beta swing itself is always constant. So now to the second part of this video, the nervous twitching motion and how to get from this nervous twitching motion to a controlled up and down motion from your heel. Let's first define what this kind of nervous twitching motion is. Nervous twitching motion means you have no control over your heel, so basically you're bouncing your heel up and down by a quick contraction of your calf muscle, but you're not covering the same distance and you get an uneven beta swing. So beta swing is not always the same. Like in the example before with the tension and relaxation principle, we talked about the bass drum head. When the beta travels, after hitting the bass drum head, the beta travels in your direction. This should be exactly the same length of time that it takes for the beta to return back to the bass drum head. To explain this kind of nervous twitching motion, this is what happens when you don't get a constant beta swing. And maybe, you know, I see this with students when I get student videos many times. You know, the beta hits the bass drum head and travels in your direction. Then you contract your calf muscle, beta travels back again to hit the bass drum head. And then after that, what happens is that they relax their calf muscle, the beta is returning in their direction, but they contract their calf muscle too soon and they interrupt this constant beta swing. This way they lose control, tempo changes and so on. Good news is there's like one little hack that makes it a bit easier for you to learn this kind of motion and like take the step from the twitching motion to a controlled up and down motion from your heel. And actually your pedal can help you to learn that motion. I recommend to use an extra beta weight and place it right here underneath your bass drum beta. The beta weight I'm using at the moment weighs about 50 grams, so it's kind of heavy. You don't have to use such a heavy beta weight. What happens when you place the beta weight right underneath your bass drum beta is the following. After the bass drum beta hits the bass drum head, the beta travels in your direction, all the way back. And what happens is this will slow down your pedal, but there will be also more weight helping you to lift your foot. So you will get way more feedback from your footboard. That's really important for those of you who use direct drive pedals. You know, direct drive pedals sometimes have a really light feel, so you don't get a lot of feedback from the footboard. With this extra beta weight, when the beta is returning, you will feel the footboard pushing your foot up again, which makes it easier to learn to understand, to control that motion. And the second good thing and big advantage of the extra beta weight is when you push down the footboard by raising your heel, is that you got more weight with the beta head, and you got more resistance to push against. So basically you are training yourself way more efficiently because you got more feedback from the pedal. For those of you who don't have a beta weight at home, start out by extending the bass drum beta all the way. This will also slow down the pedal, also change the feel of the pedal a bit, but you will get more feedback of your pedal that way, and this way you can train your foot and you will learn to understand, okay, now is the point in time where I push down by raising my heel. When the beta is returning, you will feel that extra weight, the beta and the beta weight, moving your leg up again. So this will train you and this will help you to be able to control that beta swing more easily. And once you got that down, you can get rid of the beta weight again. I personally to this day like to use extra beta weights for myself and also for my students. So your homework for today, those of you who want to work on that one, is attach the extra beta weight, place your foot around the middle of the footboard, contract your calf muscle, this way you will raise your heel, relax your upper leg and your shin muscle, and start bouncing your heel up and down constantly. You will feel the difference with the extra beta weight right away. And start bouncing the beta back and forth. Try to really feel, when the beta is returning, try to feel that extra weight that's pushing your leg up, your foot up again. And also try to feel this extra resistance and this extra weight when you raise your heel, contract your calf muscle and push the footboard down. Alright, and that's it for today's video. If you are stuck at a certain point or need more help or want me to give you feedback on your progress, make sure to check out the Drum Technique Academy, drumtechniqueacademy.net. You can also find the link in the description below. We got weekly Facebook Live lessons, so each week one of our teachers is going live and answering our student questions. Like last week we had Derek Roddy, the living legend, teaching at the Drum Technique Academy, teaching live at the Drum Technique Academy and answering our student questions about the topics of the flat foot technique and his hand technique and why he's resting his index finger on the stick. It's really interesting. This week we had Eugene Ryobchenko, drummer of Flash God Apocalypse, teaching, and next week we have Dave McGraw of Cattle Decapitation. And that's it for today's video. Thanks again. Have a great day. Cheers from Vienna. Bye.